pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now we'll take a moment of silence. Okay. Do any of the board members have adjustments to the agenda? I've been notified of two by the superintendent, and they both have to do with resignations. So we can put those down under 11, new business, Bill?
Yes.
And approval of minutes from Tuesday, October 20. If no one has any adjustments to that, then
I make a motion that we accept the minutes as written.
all right, it's been moved and seconded that the minutes from Tuesday, October 20th, be accepted as written. All those in favor? Oh, I guess I didn't bring it.
Bill, sorry, my throat.
It's okay.
Could they three-hole punch these, please?
Sure.
I don't have
Oh.
one at home, but I have one at school. And
I'll write a note.
I know it's just easier to put them right in my notebook.
Yeah.
Okay, item number 5 on the agenda is communications, and apparently we have none.
No.
So, under item number 6, public participation. Open it up to the public at this time. If anyone has a comment, they're more than welcome to speak their mind at this time. Hi, Patsy.
Hi,
Good to see you
Andy.
again.
Not Randy, Andy.
That's right.
I was wondering, I've been checking the crawl line, and every school board meeting, we video this meeting. And it's never, I can't find it. It's never on the crawl line. And I've had people ask if it's videoed, and they say, well,
Yes.
yes, but I can't find it. Could we look into seeing,
Yes.
you know, if they could put it on around 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock in the evening so that people would know in this town what is going on here?
Sure. I'll speak with Mike Boyce tomorrow morning.
Very good.
All right.
Very good.
Yep, thank you. Anyone else at this time?
Speaking of the videotaping, we're going to get the line in so that we can stream this on our school website, so that people that don't have, because a lot of people don't have regular channels and can't get that channel, so we're going to see if we can stream it on our website. We just
Stream it live?
Yep, stream it live on the website.
Very good.
We've got to order a cord for it, that's all.
Okay, we have an expenditure report.
Well, we've got a superintendent's report too. All kinds of things. Start with the superintendent's report and run down through to the rest. In your packet, I do have information included about the SBA conference and our convention, and I'll talk a little bit about that. Most interesting things happening, a lot of our state reports are due at this point in time from October 1st through the end of the month. Things like attendance and EPS numbers and bus purchases and all of those pieces of paper. Not to be surprised, we had to identify for EPS for funding all the staff, their positions, who and what they were, and have them counted. When you got to the bottom of the sheet, there was a place to identify who was the nurse, who was the librarian, who was all of those IPM coordinators, chemical health, all of those extra positions. We went to submit many of those for places like Wake and Talmadge, who really don't have a school. But because everything on the page had to be filled out, it wouldn't accept it. Small glitch in the program. And those are the kinds of things that we're running across with all the new programs the state's putting up. So it's been a bit confusing from times, but everything is getting in. Our special ed report, trying to check on it, looking for what was an 07 report has now become an 05 report. Uses. So those are the little glitches that are happening. The new commissioner that we had at the conference, Bill Beardsley, is going to be making his tour around to superintendents' meetings in the next few months. Has asked for input and to bring some of those issues to his attention. And we'll see where we go from there. The truck has arrived. It's outfitted with a plow. Everything is ready to go. And we finally got a bill the other day for the truck that we got in the next warrant. Noticed in the news that President Obama has looked to find a way to begin to minimize some of the testing from the federal level. Not sure what that means or how it'll be perceived in Congress, but that was his statement. At the workshop, as I indicated in my other report, I did attend the section on testing. We know already there's going to be measured progress. We know that they're going to use the same platform that we used for the Smarter Balance testing. Not sure how that's going to work out, but it's been issues in a few states. The outcome is that the test is going to be minimized somewhat from somewhere around 8 hours to somewhere between 4 to 6 hours in length, which is helpful, but it means that the shorter the test, you have to wonder about the reliability of the outcome of the test. The longer the test, the better chance to get a higher reliability in the test score. So we'll see. And SAT obviously has gone to the high school level. I shared that negotiations, a change in the ACA, Health Care Act, and it was that all of those employers who had less than 100 employees would have to go to the market. It's been reduced to 50. That won't have an effect on us at this point, but should we fall below 50 employees, we have to look at our health plans differently than we do at this point in time. Senator King is working to try to get schools to be outside of that process, but that hasn't occurred yet. DOE reduced our subsidy. Right off the top of my head, I can't give you an exact number, $8,000 or $9,000 to provide the seed money for the main care billing. We'll receive that money back under the billing, so they take it away and then you bill for it and get it back. And obviously the Baileyville ALS Study Committee has met. There'll be a report later on. Sidelight with oil. I did a little work with Dead River, was the only other company besides Tamro. Tamro's actually came in at 6.5 cents above rack, and Dead River's 12.5 cents above rack. The difference in price is difference of $164.9 versus $178.33. Be dealing with Tamro's, and we just took oil at $1.64, and I wish I could buy at that level for my house. I'd be very, very happy. As far as the conference, for those who weren't in attendance, the keynote speaker in the first morning was Chris Cassidy. Chris was a resident of Southern Maine, went to school in Maine, has since become an astronaut, is now the lead astronaut at NASA, actually assigning astronauts to space missions. And he shared his experience on missions as he was in space, took us by video through his time that he spent in the International Space Station and the process of how he got there and what he had to go through. It was pretty enlightening. And shared his spacewalk with us a little bit. I attended a section on basic collective bargaining. Basically wanted to catch up. And I went to the section on Meet the Commissioner, and interestingly enough, the new acting commissioner, Bill Beardsley, was there, Dr. Bill Beardsley. For those who don't know who he was the Hudson College president. Then he had the Natural Resources Department of the state, and now is acting commissioner. And the acting deputy commissioner is now our past acting commissioner, Tom Disjardins. He was there as well. Dr. Beardsley was unable to answer too many questions that were posed by the audience because he was one day on the job at that point in time. But obviously, from what I read and heard, he's making the rounds and he's trying to gather as much information as he can. The legal year in review was more about federal court cases, and we spent some time on that ACA. Attended the Habits of the Mind Critical Thinking Skills Workshop in Maine's assessment, and a section on social media. All of them were very well done. I enjoyed the attorneys and the number of them, as a matter of fact. It's always nice to get that free legal advice. Expenditure report. Don't know if you have it in your packet, but you've got the actual expenditures. The October 31st, the expenditure report goes through, covers the first 4 months of the fiscal year, or about 33%, which would leave us with 66.67% left in the fiscal year. Individual accounts that fall below or above, as expected, would be those that have one-time payments, insurances, and some of those things. They'll catch up shortly. It was a single-year payment. On page 10 of your report, before you get to the grant section, is the total 1,000 general fund checking number. The total budget is $3,716,553. The expenditure to date was $972,415.67, leaving a balance of $2,744,137.33, or 73.83%. So we're running in the positive at this point in time, and unless something significant occurs between now and the end of the year that we hadn't planned on, I expect it will stay that way. One other quick report. I received the draft audit, and when the final audit gets here, we'll present it and look for acceptance. But to give you an idea of what draft gives us for information, I tried to put together a rather quick accounting of what it looks like. Our fund balance at the beginning of the fiscal year, which includes some additional numbers. Part of it is the money that's held for July and August salaries, which is $177,883.16, and there's a section of it that we have in CDs that the past boards set aside for projects of $86,824.78. But our fund balance was $550,399.98. We balanced forward for this budget $260,000, which left us a remaining fund balance of $290,399, which is basically those two numbers I gave you, just a little bit more. Fund balance ending was $610,037. Net change was a positive $59,000. Total revenues positive variance was 30. Under revenue counts, those would be incomes that we didn't expect to get or additional tuition. Total expenditures, we were under expended by $283. And that gave us 319. We balanced forward 260, which gives us that $59,000 positive balance. So you started at a number, you reduce it by what you balance forward, and then we look at what we have for additional receipts or unexpenditures, and then we come back with a positive or negative variance from where we started. It was positive, which is always good. Hot lunch revenue account, we transferred $91,350 from the general account. Total revenues were $132,450, $281. Total income $223,802.81. Total expenses $220. Hot lunch ended up with a positive variance of $3,735. It started with a negative balance of $88.01, so it ended up with a negative balance of $51. We reduced the negative balance. And hopefully we'll be able to continue in that then and finally have that positive side to the
So we started
Legible.
the school year with
Negative.
negative balance in hot lunch.
How in the world did that happen?
No, it's
It's
been
been
on.
happening for a number of years. It was actually much, much larger than that, as I understand, 2 or 3 years ago, and we've been able to reduce it the last couple of years significantly by 2 parts. Having it do a little bit better than just simply break even, and secondly, by putting dollars in from our local budget. Okay.
Isn't there,
Bill, go ahead, Jane.
isn't there a significant amount coming from the local government?
Yeah,
The locals to support the food
91,350.
program, and that's,
Yeah, that's at
been a
91 from
concern
general
in the
fund
past.
balance. Yep.
Bill, this balance forward of $200,000, now, in some people's mind, could this be considered fluff or
No.
fat or anything
No.
like that? No?
No, in reality, our fiscal year starts July 1. We do not receive income from the state or feds until the end of the month. The last week of the month is when we get our state checks. So you operate from July 1, if you were to start with 0 in your fund balance account, to the end of July with no money except for your fund balance. And you have bills to pay for those 28 days until that check arrives. So without a fund balance, you'd be borrowing money from the bank in order to operate and paying for that. So it's important that you have that fund balance. The other part of it is you owe $47,883.16 just in salaries, because a teacher's contract runs from September 1st to August 30th. And even though we're in a new fiscal year, even if the school closed on June 30th, you would still owe 2 months of salary.
And that equates to $177,000?
Yes. Okay?
Copy that.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Thanks. No, thanks. Anyone else?
do we also have to take into consideration, should we get a special needs child in that we haven't budgeted for?
Always, and that's happened more times than I'd like to admit to in districts across the state where a family will move a child who has high special needs into a district and they become responsible. Reimbursement for that is really a year later, so it's really 2 years before you start seeing income from it. You operate that year, you operate the next year, and then you finally see the reimbursement for those operational costs. Probably the worst case scenario that I've experienced personally was an experience where we had a blind, deaf student move into MSAD 48. The only school in the nation was located in Texas. We paid to send him to Texas. $122,000 a year. Plus, on a monthly basis, we had to afford to fly the parent to Texas to see him during the course of the year. So your fluff can disappear.
Well, we'll talk about that later. Principal reports, number 8 on the agenda. Jane?
No, you can.
Bus driver appreciation week last week.
I'll do with that.
We had the privilege of taking the bus drivers down to the Big Stop for breakfast. Red Ribbon Week. Last week, Rita, our school nurse, really had some fun activities going on for the kids during the week, focused on the theme of anti-drugs. We did have a scary experience last week when our fire alarm went off unexpectedly. Staff and students were aware of what they needed to do, and they did that extremely well. Fire department, police department came, and they really could not determine why.
We didn't either.
First quarter, folks, is over this Friday. Rank cards will be coming home the following week. At the elementary level, we are working on doing our math curriculum maps. They are completed for the year. Now we are looking at our literacy curriculum so that the teachers have a guide in which to do their instruction and assessment during the year. We really rely on the STAR Math, STAR Reading, the DRA as our benchmarks. They really give us a good indication of how those kids are doing related to the standards. I did attach the agenda for our early release on Friday afternoon. Parent-teacher conferences are in the process of being set up. That's the week before Thanksgiving. And we do have to have an annual Title I meeting. Marcia and I are going to have an open house for 2 nights. Hopefully, the parents of those Title I kiddos will show up and find out what's going on. I also am very pleased to let you know that the application for our Title I funds has been accepted. Thank goodness. And if you look at the amount, it helps us breathe a little more easily with $112,849. Questions?
Do you have an overall assessment of how the students are doing for the first grade period? Jane?
I can't, we are having our RTI meeting next Monday.
Your what?
Response to intervention. That's the support we give to those kiddos that need the additional support Title I program. So I can give you a general idea of how those kids are doing at the next meeting if you would like to have that.
Sure. And what about the mainstream? You said the report cards were coming out for the first quarter?
They are. I can make you a pie graph as to how many of those
Next
kids
Friday, yeah.
met the standards and
Yeah, see,
how many didn't.
let us know how they're doing, if you don't mind.
No idea.
All right, great. Patty?
Craft fairs this Saturday, for anybody who hasn't heard about that already. I really didn't have a whole lot to report on. The fall sports season is over. Our kids worked hard. I think they had good sportsmanship. There was a little bit of a glitch with one of the games, but it seemed to be more the adults than it was the students. Students took their ASVABs. Our Veterans Day Assembly is on November 5th at 1 o'clock, if you'd like to attend. On our early release day on November 6th, we'll be putting the finishing touches on the work that we did with Judy Enright, who will be working with Jane on Friday. And we hope to have our mission and expectations and belief systems all worked out at that time. We have open house November 5th. I hope that each of you received a invitation. We'd like it if you could attend. Our grades close for the second progress report. Remember, we are on a semester grading, so we do not have report cards coming out. We have progress reports coming out. November 13th is the student flu clinic. And the only other thing that I have is, you've known all along that we've been working on these proficiency-based policies that we need to get. We'd like to do a presentation, because everybody's at a different level of their knowledge of what proficiency-based education is about. So we'd like to do a presentation, and then we'd like to, one of our teachers, Dylan Soroy, is working on a PowerPoint presentation to help walk you through the policies that we'll be looking at. But we don't believe that that should be done at a board meeting, because it's gonna take a long time. We'd like to request a special meeting, or a meeting before the board meeting, or however you wanna do it, but we'd like to request a certain amount of time to be able to do that correctly, because we want everybody to know exactly what's going on. We want everybody to be able to answer questions, and hopefully we can answer them all, but I'm sure there's gonna be some questions that come up that we still don't know the answers to, so. I'd like that to happen sometime soon.
Oh, we can, Bill, you can set up a date for us and
Okay. I'll work with
ASAP.
that and
Yep.
set it up in the next short period of time.
I met Dylan for the first time last week at the co-curricular eligibility meeting that we had there, and I was
Very knowledgeable young man.
very, very articulate. I was pretty impressed with his style.
He's come from a school where he was a student that did all of this proficiency-based stuff, went through it all as a student, so he brings with him a lot of knowledge that we've used to help us pull our system together.
Yeah, good catch. I'll ask you the same I did Jane. Patty, is it too premature yet to get any kind of a?
We can, I guess I'm not really sure what you're looking for. Do you want me to go class by class, or?
I guess that's a good question.
Could I interject?
Yeah, sure.
My opinion is that it would be best to look at the entire school and do some type of a pie graph in which you can give a percentage of the total number of population, those kids that are meeting the standards. Then obviously we'll know what we have to do for the remainder of those that aren't.
And I like the pie that you did the last time. For the,
We're not standards-based though. How do we say students meet the standards? Because we're not standards-based.
Well,
I'm looking at our benchmark.
Are you just
Mike-
looking at a failure rate?
No.
yeah.
Is that all you really want?
That has come to mind, but no, I would like to see
You can look at the success
the
rate.
positive aspects of the first ranking period, to date. But I would want to be made aware of the not so successful things as well.
So that's what I'll do, is a failure passing rate.
Yeah.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
really all.
yeah, for the whole student body.
Our data will be specifically from our benchmark assessments. That STAR Reading, STAR Math, the DRA. They will be indicative of which kids are at grade level. And of course, if you're at grade level, hopefully, you're meeting standard.
Are you all set, Patty?
No,
Yeah.
I'm not focusing on that.
Thank you.
I'm focusing on the benchmark.
Number 9 on the agenda is negotiations report. The
Okay.
Next meeting is November 9,
Yes, 3:30 here.
3:30.
Most of what we're working with right now is language, and we're progressing along getting through it. I do have one other piece that I received this afternoon that I need to share because it was addressed to the chairman and to the board. I'll explain it quickly. Given the 10-day notice, 10 days, work days is up to days, association felt necessary to file at this point so we can have a discussion. Basically, Article 1 is a identification of who is covered under the contract, and you'll note that there are certain people not covered under the contract. The article, next article is the Article 5, which is the extracurricular schedule, co-curricular, extracurricular schedule. And Article 10 is non-teaching duties, which points to the fact that positions will be opened in-house for a week, and then, if unable to have applications be open to the public. And in the last meeting, we appointed an administrator to some of those positions who's excluded from the contract. Working with the association, this has been a previous past grievance, I guess. It was settled previously. And I think it's something that we can work with very easily without it progressing any further through a memorandum of understanding that lay out groundworks for how it's to be interpreted. Because once it goes public, I'm guessing that anybody is public. But we'll see.
Excuse my
Can you-
limited intelligence, but what is this about?
That's my line, Jane.
This
That's
is
mine.
about appointments for extracurricular, co-curricular.
And what have we been doing wrong? Yes.
We have an administrator who's been appointed under a contract that they're excluded from.
Well, nobody,
Of the public, once
That's
once
what
it goes
that
out
was,
to the public,
that was
aren't I
my,
a public person?
that was my point. That's
Thank
why
you.
it's gonna take some clarification more than anything else.
Well, what happened the last time? But how was it
was,
remedied the last
It was
time?
simply set aside and not dealt with,
well,
because it didn't fit, because I haven't talked to the individual yet, but I'm guessing it has to do with once it goes to, as I said, the public, then it becomes an open position.
And I've been doing it for 12 years, so.
I was gonna say, nobody
That's
wanted it.
practice.
Yeah, nobody wanted it, that was the thing, I
Well,
thought.
Well, we'll figure it out, right?
we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Is that gonna be taken up on November 9th?
I
Or
think we
sometime
can-
sooner?
We could try and do it sooner, but we can probably finalize it on the 9th.
Well, keep me in the loop on that. I assume you'll be meeting with Steve?
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, keep me in the loop on that one.
will do.
So these were posted in-house in letters to employees, on email, and in the paper.
Correct.
So just wanted to know how much they were posted,
Yeah.
and at the elementary school.
And at the elementary
Yeah.
school, yes.
Across the district. And in my office as well, on the outside bulletin board.
So was there someone in-house that wanted one of those positions
No,
that we
No.
gave her? So what's the problem?
contract language.
Oh, my God.
Is it the language or the interpretation of the language?
A little
I'll
of both.
need to go back and.
A little of both. And I don't have a lot of history, obviously, so I'm going to need to talk to past persons who had some of that history. I came today,
Let them fight it out.
Yeah.
needed to present it.
Interesting.
If we're all done beating that around, number 10, under old business.
Okay, in your packet,
Policy adoption.
we had some policies that went for review on October 20th. My directions, and I don't want to confuse anybody, but I want to make sure I've got everything completely straight in my mind, too. I have these that sort of had a first reading and would typically be up for a second reading. My directions, I think, were to bring the entire policy manual with the old policies and any new policies, all of any to be deleted, all at one time. And I've started to put that together and progressing along. I'm dealing, first of all, with those required policies, and then I'm going to go to the other ones that are important, and then the third ones to be deleted. And I was going to try to do it maybe in 3 parts, because the policy manual is this thing. If I give you that and the rewrites, you're now this thing. And I'm not sure that you can deal with that in a week or a month. So I'm just wanting to clarify how you want me to bring the rest of these, for sure. In groups or,
I would say in manageable groups
okay.
at the meetings.
Yeah, okay. And I'll try to, the first group I'll bring about probably half of the required ones, because there's about 70+
Yeah.
required. And that's still gonna be a fairly sizable amount of paper to go through. You'll have read at least 7 or 8 novels by the time we're done.
I think it's 75 or something like that.
I spoke with a previous board member about this some time ago, and she allowed that when they did it, they did the same thing when she was on there. But she was on in the 2000s,
Mm-hmm.
and I see some of the dates are still back in the 90s and 80s.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not sure how. She said they went through the whole thing, but I don't know if they've been lost or
Well, I
what's
think
happened, Bill. But
they may have indicated that they may have gone through the whole book,
yeah,
but they may have only changed dates on anything that they adjusted and left the other dates alone as originally adopted, would be my guess. So if they were adopted in 1991, per se, and they didn't touch it or make any changes in it, they left it as it was adopted and didn't put a review date or anything else on it to show that it was updated or anything else. If it's going to stay the same, obviously you're not going to re-adopt it. I mean, that would be, you could, I guess, if you wanted to, but it would be wasted vote, so to speak.
but something needs to be, you know,
But, yeah, there should be a note.
the
that it
note
was
on the
reviewed,
bottom.
At least.
reviewed and accepted
Yeah.
on a certain
And that's,
date. And
what I've tried to do is show the adopted, revised, reviewed date, and if we were to accept these as a second reading tonight, I'd put accepted on or adopted on a new date.
yeah,
I think it's important that there's at least a running record. I don't know that I need the original adopted date on the brand-new one, but it'd be nice to have the revised and reviewed and final adopted dates on them at least.
so you're looking for action on these ones?
Yeah,
Tonight, yeah.
we've had the first reading on these. They're required policies by law. And,
Well,
Any of the wording is, with this equal opportunity affirmative action one, with the sexual orientation, especially in this day and age, is there any wording that needs
The
to
only
be?
wording change under the harassment, sexual ACAA, is the disability was added to it that wasn't originally there on the original policy. That was before that was included by law. And that's the only change in it. Any changes in legal references were updated. That's it.
does anyone? Well, I'll do it. Get over it. I move that we accept policy ACAA, ACAR, ACAB, ACAB-R, as written. Is there a second?
I second.
Okay, it's moved and seconded to accept the aforementioned policies. All in favor?
Didn't do these BFC.
I didn't get that one either. I left it. I just did the A's. I've got it ready, obviously, but along with a lot of
You
them.
included it in here.
I did include it in there?
Yeah.
I don't have it in my packet, I guess.
Me either.
Me
I
either.
think I just asked you to put the A's in up to this point, and asked you to
Yeah.
go to the A's and so on.
The last one I have.
You guys got a bonus.
I have BFC in mine.
I have it in mine.
the first one.
ACAB-R is the last one I have.
What was it, Crystal?
It's the first one.
BFC.
First one, AC.
Right
Right after
behind
the
the
minutes.
FC?
It's right behind the minutes.
Did I clear it off?
It's a
Oh,
policy
you know
for
what? It is
policy
behind the minutes.
adoption.
Okay. Oh, it's the policy adoption, yes. It is there. I throw mine off too. I throw it off the minutes.
It's right behind the minutes. Hooked on
Oh,
them.
yeah, it is.
Got it.
You want to adjust your
Motion.
motion?
Yep. I want to amend the previous
To include.
motion to include policy BFC. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's moved and seconded to amend the previous motion to accept the policy BFC. All in favor?
All right. Got it. Thank you. I'll keep up.
Hey. Okay, 11, new business. We have 2 resignations.
Yes. This is from Michelle Cochran Barnes. Due to my desire to pursue other interests, I'm resigning as varsity volleyball coach at Woodland High School. For the past 6 years, it's been my pleasure to have worked with you and the student athletes at Woodland High School because of similar coaching philosophies. Because of our similar coaching philosophies, I'd like to recommend Michelle Ripley as the next varsity volleyball coach. Her knowledge and passion for the sport, as well as empathy for field replacement. I hope to see a winning tradition continue. Best regards, Michelle Cochran Barnes. And secondly, I'm writing with a heavy heart to give you the answer to a very difficult question. I'm going to resign my ed tech position at Woodland Elementary School effective immediately. I have another doctor's prescription to be off work until November 17th. I cannot continue to be away from my job, and I'm certain that after time I will still have issues. I'm not planning on abandoning my position as I have, but my personal issues have made it hard to work a regular job. I expect that every turn for things to even out, to become normal, and that has not happened. I love my job at WES. I love the kids, love my coworkers. I had a great job as a biologist back in 2000, 2002, and enjoyed it immensely. As immensely as my job at WES. I enjoyed more this than any other jobs I've had as an adult. WES school, I'm sorry to leave it, however, I feel giving up positions is the right thing to do. I hope you all understand. Sincerely, Leah Brown. She's an ed tech at WES. Please accept those 2 resignations with regret.
I move that we accept the resignations of Leah Brown and Michelle Cochran Barnes with regret.
I second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor? And I think it would be a nice gesture for us to send
I will.
them both cards,
I will.
thank you cards, and
Yes.
the appropriate items.
Jane, didn't we just hire you last year?
And I think that's it for new business. Maine School Boards Association Conference
I sort of
reports.
did mine already.
Yeah, you
but-
did yours already. Yep. Elaine Gillis,
Nothing good.
that goes back a ways.
Help.
Elaine Gayton, myself and Gwen went down to Augusta for a 2-day series of clinics, and some of them are very informative. A couple of the ones that I went to were the collective bargaining, the advanced collective bargaining clinics, and of course there's all lawyers doing the presentations. Most of them were from the law firm that we employ.
Drummond Woodson.
Drummond Woodson. So it's very informative, but I'm not at liberty to say what I've learned because we have people negotiating with next week here, so I want to give up my secrets. But it was that, and which one did you go to, Gwen?
I went to why does special education cost so much, and I also went to the Maine Principals Association.
and Elaine and I attended the clinic titled Update and Observations on School District Withdrawals and Possible Governance and Cost-Sharing Alternatives. And it's all about schools around the state that are going through the withdrawal process or have already gone through it. But,
I didn't hear the first one, but you repeated it, so that's fine.
oh, okay.
I wasn't sure, I couldn't hear what you said the first time, you sounded mumbled, but you rephrased it again, so.
Okay. And that was pretty informative as well, and it was the same law firm, Drummond and Woodson. So we got quite a bit of information from there. I think sometimes they're trying to drum up business is more than to explain how to do things, but they give you just enough to get you on the hook, and then next thing you know, you're calling them, I guess. So, but there was some pretty informative attorneys there, quite entertaining actually.
Yes.
And
I went to meet the commissioner on Friday and
Oh, you did?
found out that he had canceled Thursday, so.
Yeah, he didn't have a lot
Yeah.
to really give out. It was a full house in that particular session.
Thursday, yeah.
It was half, all the chairs were filled and there was still standing room only.
another clinic was the interest-based bargaining, which I guess is the new trend in trying to reach contract negotiations with paraprofessionals and all the way up through. I guess I'm not really sold on the concept, but I guess basically what they told us was that both sides, I guess, have to be in total agreement to agree or disagree, and it's more fantasy than real, I guess. But it's a new thing that they're trying out there, and it's basically you don't take anything to the table. Neither side takes anything to the table other than they ask questions of why the opposing or why the party sitting across from them is happy, as opposed to taking any specific items in. So that was kind of a new concept in my mind, but I guess at the end of the clinic, the bottom line was if both sides walk away unhappy, then it was a successful
Well, that's interesting.
Successful negotiation.
right.
That's the meaning of compromise when both sides don't get it. What can we do to make you more happy?
Yeah, that's it. And the other one I attended was the basics of school board policy, and I think all four of us were at that one, weren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was put on by Charlotte Bates, who's been here, giving us school committee members training. And it was informative. We discovered that we're not doing everything correctly. And
I think it was neat to talk with other school board members.
we also
And
discovered that other people
superintendents.
aren't doing things correctly as well, and things just get out of hand, and so it was pretty much telling us how to get things back in line. So that's all I have to say about that. Any questions from anyone? Okay, item 13, update from the AOS Investigation Committee. The next meeting, by the way, is November 9th. The high school library, and that's going to be with the,
Town council.
and that is going to be at 5:30.
Is
And
that
I guess at
already
that
been-
time, we're going to,
It's the board members and the town council.
I guess at the last meeting, there were people of the opinion that we should get, if we can find the monies, should hire someone who does this for a living. And there are people out there, there are retired superintendents out there that can help communities figure out whether withdrawal from the AOS is good or bad. They're a neutral party. They do all the legwork, they do all the information collection and all that, and they present it to the committee to present to the community to vote on. So, at the meeting on the 9th, the town council has agreed to see if they have any monies that they can contribute. And the school committee will see if they have any monies to contribute to find this person out there that can help us come to a conclusion on where to go. And if we, no matter if we decide not to withdraw, then it's a dead issue. If we decide to continue further, then that person will also carry us through that process. So, and I think it's a great idea. I heard other people say that it was the best way to go. So, I'm in favor of it, as long as, you know, the costs aren't exorbitant.
That was my question. Do you have any idea of what that cost would be? And number two, where would you get the monies to pay that cost? Do you have
Right,
any
well,
ideas?
yeah, the town council's gonna look and see if they have any monies available to split the cost, and Bill, of course, will do the same on our ends. But first of all, we have to find out, but I can tell you this, that one of the clinics I went to with Drummond and Woodsum, they've been integral in 25 of these towns withdrawals. And they said, depending on the size of the town, it can run anywhere from $5,000 to $50,000. That's,
Is there a time frame that this can
yeah, it
be
doesn't
done?
take very long, just a couple of months.
We've also asked some
Yep.
people that have been involved with withdrawals or have knowledge about it because they have been part of it to come to the meeting as well.
May I ask another question?
Oh, you fire right away.
Do you think withdrawal will save us money, or you haven't reached that
That's
point
why we're doing
yet?
this, Jane, is to find out how much it's gonna cost us if we decide to do it. And if in the long run it will save us money, or we're gonna, this person supposedly is, these people that do this are very well experienced in this, and they will bring that information to us. They will find it out by coming to this community and doing their thing, so.
Thank you.
But yeah, my mind's still open. I haven't made up my mind one way or the other, and I hope others haven't as well, but I know it's a pretty tough decision. Patsy?
Andy, is this meeting gonna be open to the public?
Yes, indeed,
Yes?
absolutely.
It has to be, they all have to be public meetings.
Yep. You mean the one on the 9th?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. It's gonna be here in the library,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
at 5:30. And I'll do Pat first, the other Pat.
I just wanted to ask, if I could, I'm sorry, Pastor, I had you hand it first, but I just wanted to ask, we have some seniors who are, as part of the commitment this year, having to attend municipal board meetings, some sort, school board meeting or town council meeting or something. Would this meeting be considered in that light and for us, if kids attended?
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, Pat.
I thought in that meeting that we had the other night, we also talked about whether a petition was gonna go out, because that was part of a rule that you had to have a petition signed and put in, whether people even wanted to consider this. So is that part of this, or are we just jumping to? And have we-
Hiring that person
Have we
to,
officially asked the school board if they wanna, if the town council, if they wanna have that meeting? Or was that just an understanding at that
no,
meeting?
the chairman of the council was there at that meeting, and he said that,
He didn't say he was interested. He just wanted to see where we wanted to go.
He suggested it.
he suggested it, I
I thought we
believe,
ended
but.
the meeting, this meeting tonight, that the school board would request a meeting of the town council, and then Monday, when they have the town councilman meeting, we'd have a group meeting, but have it here. But I thought we were going to also have the petition, talk about, at that meeting, talk about whether they're, because that was the first part of the rule of how you do this, is to have a community petition, and I thought we talked about that.
We did talk about it, but I think it only makes sense that, I mean, if people are signing a petition,
Yes.
what are they signing? I mean, are they signing to stay in, or are they signing to withdraw?
No, they're not, they're signing, the petition was about, do you want us to look at this?
Okay, if that's gonna say that,
That's what
yeah.
the petition was
Right,
about.
I
yeah,
think that's the way it's worded in that AOS withdrawal,
It
the very
is.
first thing you need to do.
yeah. Yeah, I thought it was a great
That's what
idea.
we talked about last week, so.
Hire a lawyer for that.
Yeah.
So
No,
who gets the petition, the committee here?
well,
Who
that's the
initiates
thing,
the-
you have to
the
decide
petition?
who's gonna initiate the petition, that has to be.
Well, anybody can do it. I mean, so anybody off the street can get a petition going for anything, any reason.
You just have to
All
be
they-
careful of
they
the
have to have
wording.
so many signatures from,
And that, well, that stuff that
That's-
Andy gave us at the last meeting, well, Jamie ran it off, but Andy brought in, that actually has the wording right in it for the
Yeah.
petition.
but you gotta, a lot of that information I had was for the RSU withdrawals, and it's completely different from the AOS. So you
Yeah,
gotta,
absolutely.
you gotta
Yeah.
pull them apart, because the AOS withdrawal is a lot more simpler and easier
Then-
and less expensive
then
than an RSU withdrawal, yeah.
Yeah, but it's
So-
still probably the same starting process, so thought is what we come to the conclusion also. So we were supposed to start a petition before we went any further. That
Oh, I
was
don't
the way
know.
it's set up, whether we want to or not. I mean, that was,
That's what they were gonna discuss.
well,
at that
that's what I
meeting.
thought that we were gonna discuss too. It wasn't guaranteed that we were gonna pay somebody to go and do the investigation at first. That was a suggestion, but I believe the petition was the first thing on the agenda that we needed to talk to them about.
Talk to who
Am I
about it?
wrong?
Talk to who about it?
About to start up.
The council,
But
town council.
am I wrong?
I do the
I-
petition before I sink any money into anything.
I think that's what the town council and the school board were going to meet to talk
Right.
about, whether they felt, both sides felt it was feasible to even proceed from there.
The focus of the council school board committee meeting would be to talk about some type of adoption of a petition that maybe was drawn up
Uh,
before the money.
I'm not clear. I'm not clear on exactly thought what and
Thought we were
what
pretty clear
everybody,
last week, but apparently it's changed
So-
since last week, so.
well, maybe it hasn't, Jamie. Maybe, there's people like myself that aren't totally clear on
Well, it just
just
sounded
exactly what
different
was
than our meeting
decided.
last week, that's all.
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying it's not clear, and
Yeah.
I'm the chairman of that.
Mr.
meeting.
McHugh, you got something to say?
You're contemplating a petition, and a petition is required. You have several things you've got to settle on, that is, how many signatures, of whom, what your wording is, and, you gotta get those things all lined up before you can start anything if a petition is required.
That's correct. We're well aware of that.
But it needs to be stated, it needs to be brought out and put on the table.
Yep.
I think that's why we're having the meeting on the 9th
I
with
was
the town
looking,
council.
looking at my notes, and they talked about a petition to withdraw. You do that first for the town council. And then part of that will be to raise funds, one way or another, to do the investigation of positives and negatives for withdrawal. And then to move forward to a public meeting and whatever follows.
Yep.
That's what I've got, at least what I took that night.
Yeah, I don't have the information in front of me, but there is a
And I
process.
think that the number was 56 signatures.
56 signatures, and I'm not sure how official that is either, but that's the number that was thrown around. But we can ascertain all that, but I don't have that information in front of me, but there is a process. So,
Will you
we just
have-
have to dig it up and and, you'll get someone to put it on paper. It's a certain percentage of the last voter turnout at the last election.
And is that a question that our legal firm could answer?
Governor.
I'm sure they must have something, or the MSMA must have something.
Yeah, they do. We have that information. I just don't have it in front of me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Department of Education too.
I don't, I can't I've looked at so much information, I can't recall even a portion of it, but we do have it. Yeah. All right, if there are no further comments, I'll accept a motion to adjourn.
When's the next meeting?
Oh, yes, thanks, Gwen. Next meeting will be,
2 weeks from today.
17.
17.
It's after
copy that.
Steve
Next school board meeting, November 17.
What day is that?
McKay. Friday the 13th.
Thank you all for coming. Oh, did we get a vote yet?
No.
Okay.
I make a motion
Gwen?
to adjourn.
And
I'll second.
Andy?
All in favor? Thank you all for coming.